I go to my normal hiking. I went to hiking with the people on the road, and I went out there. How be scared of me? I say, I have free bag of dosas for everybody, and they drive like I'm some sort of wolf. I'm no wolf. I'm Greg.
You're Greek?
I'm Greg. It's Greek in Greek.
That's Greg?
Greg.
Okay.
So these people, they go home. The father, who was a Vietnam vet, battle-hardened man.
Maybe some PTSD happening.
I mean, I don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know. They go home. They go back to Flagstaff, where their home base is, and they woke up in the middle of the night to the sounds of loud drumming outside. They looked out their window, and they saw the dark forms of 3 quote-unquote men outside their fence. And the beings, very shadowy, tried to climb the fence to enter the yard, but seemed inexplicably unable to cross onto the property. Frustrated by their failed entry, the men began to chant in the darkness as the terrified family huddled inside the house.
And those men made up the band The Grateful Dead. Their card.
But again, what we're seeing here is telltale signs of when the viewing a cryptid or cryptid experiences match UFO phenomena as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
The missing time, the weird rules, specifics of the view. It's because you also see when we cover other cryptids, as we've heard before, between Mothman, Momo, the Missouri Monster, all these things that are shapely, Momo. Sorry,
Momo, yeah. I mean, we had a guy we called Momo, but that's because he was a convicted child molester.
Well, the only way that you can kill Momo is to put peanut butter on the top of its mouth. He licks himself to death.
So apparently that family, they had the house blessed by a Navajo woman, and it did not they did not have any loud drumming outside of their house ever again.
All right.
So in 1987, this is very interesting. This is when murder actually comes into it.
Ooh.
The mutilated body of Sarah Seganitso was found in a rocky area behind the Flagstaff Medical Center. And George Abney, who was a professor at Northern Arizona University, was arrested in September and tried for her murder.
Okay.
Part of her left breast had been bitten off, and the prosecution offered testimony that the bite mark matched Abney's teeth. The defense countered that circumstances surrounding Seganitso's slaying suggested a skinwalker witchcraft murder, including a broken stick left across her neck, as well as a clump of grave grass found next to her pickup truck. And Abney's attorneys first tried to...
Because those are things that are used in skinwalker magic ritual.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. I don't know. The broken stick across the neck, that's a little weird. The clump of grave grass, though, I get that. So, Abney's attorneys, they first tried to implicate this woman's former boyfriend on the basis that he was a member of the Native American church, but he was proved to have been at a sweat Tuba City the night of
the Tuba City Sweat Lodge.
Oh, God, run by a Harry Lloyd Bubbleson.
Yeah.
That there is hey, come on down to Tuba City. God, it's all 97 degrees inside my sweat lodge. I'm in my living room. Come on down, meet my wife. She's just a bunch of meat. She ain't even a woman. Come on down
nice.
to damn city.
God, I'd love to go to Tuba City.
Yeah.
One day we'll make a field trip out to
Seems
Tuba
like
City.
the kind of city that an elephant would be happy living in.
It's the Paris of Poland.
It is. Tuba City.
But anyway, the professor ended up being acquitted.
Oh, great.
Really?
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
actually got off.
He got off, yeah. I mean, I don't know if the skinwalker defense was what got him off. It was most likely forensics and various other...
Or the lack of forensics,
Or
maybe.
the lack of forensics, yeah. But, I mean, he did get off. And the defense still did bring the skinwalker argument into the courtroom, which is very unorthodox.
Very unorthodox, but it worked. A lot of people didn't think the Johnny Cochran rhyming everything was going to work.
But it did.
Look at OJ.
Look at OJ.
The lawyer just walking around just being like, and you never know when a bird's a bird could be a man. And sometimes a fox a man. You don't know. I say you bring me out here a fox that could also not be a man, and then you will convince me that this man is guilty.
Right.
Will you please, barrister, leave the courtroom? You're right, I quit.
You know?
And our last story concerning the skinwalkers, it concerns a woman who was delivering newspapers in the early morning hours. She claimed that during her rounds, she heard a scratching on the passenger door of her vehicle, and of course, her baby, when she can't leave her baby at home when she's fucking delivering newspapers.
Right.
Baby was in the car seat next to her. She said that the door flung open, and she saw a horrifying form of a creature that she described as half man, half beast, with glowing red eyes and a gnarly arm that was reaching out for her child.
Yeah.
She fought it off. She fought it off, managed to pull the door closed, and then pounded on the gas pedal and sped off. But to her horror, the creature ran along with the car and continued to try to open the door. And this is something that you see a lot with skinwalker testimony. They
always
love
run after the cars.
They're always chasing cars. They're always running after cars. There was another testimony.
Sort of like a dog?
Like a dog.
Like
well, they usually turn into canines. So,
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
makes
they are.
sense.
I mean, I guess that's just ingrained in the brain. But one of them was actually said to race along a car going about 60 miles an hour, and then he actually overtook the car and then turned right in front of it and sped off. But this woman,
great.
yeah, the skinwalker tried to open the door. She said it stayed with her until she came to an all-night convenience store, ran inside, screaming and hysterical, and the store employee dashed outside. Didn't see nothing.
Well, that's just part of their marketing campaign to get people at their goddamn gas station. You know, hey, dumb Tony, go run the cars. Yeah.
And in one, final strange case, a woman said that she saw two skinwalkers who appeared in the form of humans with dogs' heads smoking cigarettes.
That's like that funny painting.
Yeah, that's like that poker painting.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All of this also, like, every single one of these stories reminds me of, like, a Warren Zevon, like, music video. It's just, like,
Yeah.
just all werewolves of London. Werewolves of London. It's just him.
The werewolves of Tuba City. The laziest werewolves around.
I think we should start remarketing ourselves as the werewolves of Tuba City.
Oh, please. Yes, can we be?
Henry Zabrowski, the werewolf of Tuba City.
When we go on our national tour, we gotta stop by Tuba City and give those good folks a hell of a show.
Yeah, that's going to be our
what's
first
weird, though, is
national tour. That's what it's going to be called. It's going to be called Werewolves of Tuba City Tour 2015.
How do we
The
get
thing
to
that
Tuba
really
City?
gets me about Tuba City is that I've heard is that their brass bands actually kind of suck.
Oh, that's terrible.
And that's terrible. That's not least, but I mean, at this point, it's Tuba City.
No, there's a lot of pressure on them to be good. And
God, it's almost like that Anchorman scene where they're like, name the things in the room, it's like a lamp, and then someone's just like, what's the name of this city? And he's like, Tuba.
City.
You're holding the tuba. Yeah, it's good. Tuba will work. Yeah, Tuba City.
Let's call ourselves Glockenspiel Lake.
Let's go with Tuba City, okay?
Tuba City, you're right. Get Herbert out of here. Herbert Winklebaum.
Glockenspiel.
No one ever respects me until I'm in bear form. I knew I should have come to the meeting in bear form,
Yep.
then they would have accepted Glockenspiel Lake. Oh.
well, actually, no, we can't move on from Skinwalkers now because we almost forgot to talk about Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Skinwalker Ranch. This is sort of like, this is a place where skinwalkers can like run free, right? Where you bring an old skinwalker and it can kind of just mill amongst the bushes.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's like a sandals resort for skinwalkers?
It's in Utah. It's a certain ranch in Utah in which there's a lot of skinwalker activity. One researcher who went to Skinwalker Ranch asked some of the local natives about a place called Dark Canyon because he had been told that there were centuries-old petroglyphs in Dark Canyon, some of which depict the skinwalker. But of course, the tribal council, they denied his request to explore the canyon. One member later told him that the tribe denied the request because it didn't want to disturb the skinwalker for fear that it might, quote, create problems. The tribe's advice? Leave it alone.
Skinwalker Ranch was actually purchased by this Boston millionaire who's obsessed with ghosts and UFOs because Skinwalker Ranch is also a huge hotspot for not only cryptid sightings, but UFO sightings and ghosts, poltergeist activity, all this crazy shit. Animal mutilations, like all like the cow mutilations and shit like that. You see all like the eyes being bored out. It's all happened in Skinwalker Ranch. And so this billionaire bought it to just sort of be a research zone for paranormal activity. And this guy named John Anderson, who's a former some kind of center, some kind of something. He says he's something. He was a colonel, and he went out there to research, and they were talking about. They were like, it's another fucking super boring interview with him. And they're like, so when you get out there, how many aliens did you see? And he's like, there's a lot of activity over at the Skinwalker Ranch, and but when you hear it all kind of described at once, it sounds pretty exciting. You'd think, when I got here, I thought I would be fucking eating breakfast with an alien every other day, but mostly we're playing poker. So
Sounds pretty fun.
But there's also a place called Skinwalker Cave, which is what the Dark Canyon thing is. And J.C. Johnson, who is a cryptozoologist, who's a fucking rube. Who's just the weirdest dude on the face of the planet. He was like, I went out to Skinwalker Cave because I had heard several indications and there were cryptids involved inside the cave. And I went and I noticed several very unusual mud formations. What only could have been done by a massive hand. He coined the term sheep squatch, which is a sheep creature.
I've heard of sheep squatch. Yeah.
Wow, I love sheep squatch.
Yeah.
What were the mud forms? What were they of? Just
There were clumps,
Piles.
piles of mud,
Piles
in
of
front the
mud.
cave.
Piles of
And he's
mud.
just like, only could have been formed by a thing with hands.
No human would stack mud like this.
right. All right, I'll buy that. I'll believe it.
All right, well, let's move on to our...
So that's Skinwalkers, and
That's
I feel like
Skinwalkers,
there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of lore around it. It's a fun thing. It's wizards meets werewolves. So
Yeah.
I love it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, the walls of reality are thin around Skinwalker Ranch. Let's move to Thunderbirds.
Yeah, Thunderbirds. Love Thunderbirds.
They're described as giant vultures.
Thunderbirds are just
Big birds.
Yeah, they're just, they're real.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just big.
Real big birds. They're described in Native American lore as giant vultures whose presence indicates large storms on the horizon. Some say that thunderbirds exist in both the spiritual and physical realm, and that they are visitors from a plane of existence beyond our comprehension,
So
somehow stepping through doors that aren't really open.
So they
That's
were the
really
first
cool.
sort of weatherman.
Yeah.
Thunderbirds are the first weatherman, but less rapey.
yeah.
You know.
They're
Jesus.
Al Rokers with
Weathermen are rapey.
Weathermen are rapey?
I was watching one the other day on local news because I currently don't have a Roku box, so I can't watch Netflix. And yeah, weathermen are rapey.
Okay. Well,
They're
can-
strange
You're trying to
birds.
tell me that every weatherman's a rapist.
I'm not saying every
You're saying
weatherman.
Al Roker, America's sweetheart.
Hell no.
Has possibly pinned a woman up against a fucking NBC bathroom door and has
Well, hey.